What do you believe is a cold hard truth that you think the average person refuses to accept? Finding out what or who is to blame for a problem is not the same thing as solving it. Edit. Yes. I understand the necessity of find who what is responsible for a problem for prevention. But I'm not talking about prevention. I'm talking about fixing something. I literally live in a world where I tell someone to fix something and they say Fred broke it and they FCK off to get drunk. Just because you are smart and talented doesn't mean you will succeed in life. That they're average. There is no promise that the person you will love will ever love you back. Edit. Thank you for the gold. I love you back. Appearance really matters a lot. The best example on this was when I read that in court. The majority of good-looking defendants received shorter sentences, regardless of the crime committed, compared to uglier defendants committing the same crime. Preemptive edit. This was based on who the jury judge considered good-looking. Not my own personal view of beauty. Only a handful of people will remember you or even care when you die. Someday soon. Perhaps in 40 years. There will be no one alive who has ever known me. That's when I will be truly dead, when I exist in no one's memory. I thought a lot about how someone very old is the last living individual to have known some person or cluster of people. When that person dies, the whole cluster dies. 2. Vanishes from the living memory. I wonder who that person will be for me. Whose death will make me truly dead. Oh so Irvin D. Just because it's not your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility. My dad put it to me another way. Specifically in regards to driving. But I think it can fit in any situation. You may be right. But you can die right. You will get further knowing the right person compared to having the right qualifications. Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. For the vast majority of people, it's not a question of can my job be automated outsourced? It's will it happen in my lifetime? Most people seem to believe robots and automation are only a threat to the lowliest retail and manufacturing jobs. But that's being proven increasingly wrong every day. Robots aren't the problem. Our non-progressive societal structure is. Automation and efficiency should be making all our lives easier. Not just increasing profits for a few to the ruin of everyone else. WTF world? We used to have suffering because we lacked the ability and knowledge required to provide for everyone. Now it's because we just don't want to. Edit. Since I can't reply to everyone, and I'm getting a lot of comments about this, I'm going to correct one thing here. I shouldn't have implied that automation and efficiency has not improved our lives. Clearly it has. Point remains that progress isn't in tune with increasing capabilities and we still have the issue of decreasing value in labor. That not every person is automatically beautiful. Some people are truly average. It should be not everyone is beautiful. But that's okay. Edit. I wanted to say that I do understand that beauty is also subjective. Of course it is. I am simply stating my dislike for an extreme term being tossed around too much. I would say the same thing about the word intelligent or genius. Or any trait. Really. But some of you are ugly FCKs and there ain't shit you can do about it. Society doesn't care for you as a person. It cares for what you can give to it and will reward you accordingly if it feels like it. Edited for accuracy. Thanks you Homer. That so much of our troubles and worries just do not matter in the grand scheme of things. Said this before, but having a serious disease or disability does not automatically make someone a good person or just simply serving in armed forces. I know a kid with cerebral palsy. He's an absolute cock. That not everyone is gonna like them. Most people don't do things because they're good or bad people. We just perceive it that way because we sort people into teams and behave tribalistically. Every story we look for good guys and bad guys. And once we have picked sides we assume everything the other side says is hopelessly misguided at best or intentionally deceitful at worst. You'll encounter situations where there is nothing you can do about it. There is no point in bitching. You are entitled to nothing. Because no one owes you anything in the grand scheme of things. Bullshit. That people prefer a comfortable lie over an uncomfortable truth. But knowledge is preferable to ignorance. Better. By far. To embrace the hard truth than a reassuring fable. We age. We change and life is a constant flux. Good times and bad times are transitory. We fixate on the moment and don't realize it will pass. Your purchase choices are probably fueling slavery. But convenience often trumps ideology. So, whatever. Everybody lies. Anyone can suffer from mental illness. It is not only the weak. We need to stop calling those with mental illnesses crazy. Or attributing it to their personality. The truth is that any one of us could suffer the same fate. Mental illness equals crazy, physical illness equals brave warrior. All that shit your parents told you about being special and able to do anything you want with your life is more than likely not true. The sky's not the limit. Your intelligence, drive, ability to network, charisma, etc. is the limit. My parents found a clever loophole to this. They always told me I had great potential. Well, sure. Who doesn't? Dad wasn't playing hide and seek 11 years ago. You are going to die. And 100 years from now the chances of anyone even remembering your name, let alone anything you have done, is close to zero. One way or another everyone's an asshole. Remember, if you're looking for upvotes, don't suggest anything that the average person actually refuses to accept, or they will downvote you. No matter what you tell yourself, no one knows what will happen when you die. That not everything that's cold and hard is necessarily the truth. Our solar system is mortal and won't be around forever. Eventually Earth and all of its life will be destroyed. There's a reason humanity needs space programs and research. Panji. Yo. I was talking to someone about continental drift. And they were like, that's just a theory. And I'm like, Mothefka. Africa fits right on top of South America. No one at the table backed me up. I was pissed. Most but not all poor people bear some significant level of responsibility for their situation, and it's not white people, rich people, whoever it's currently hip to hate's fault. Having met a fair amount of poor people, I would only contest the word most in your sentence. Plenty of people just got shitty on by life and didn't have an effective support structure to get them through said bad luck. Sorry, but it's just not that simple. In the US there is almost no chance of escaping the social standing of your parents. If your parents were poor you will be too. If they were rich you'll be rich as well. Unless you screw up badly. Upward social mobility in the US is substantially lower than it is in other developed countries, particularly compared to social democracies. So it's clear that the US system is a large part of the reason why the poor stay poor. Their primary fault was being born poor, and in the US, the inevitability of death. Racism, homophobia and sexism still exist within our society. And they are still huge problems. So often you have people repeating things like I'm colorblind. I don't see race or orientation. I don't believe in labels, etc. And it's an obvious people who say things like that really want to believe that line of thinking means that discrimination is no longer an issue in society because it makes them uncomfortable to acknowledge it exists. I definitely used to be one of those people in my teens until I woke the FCK up and realized how untrue it actually is. Multiculturalism will tear us apart, and pretending that it is somehow a strength beyond marketing endeavors is insane. Multi-ethnic states are inorganic and eventually can't hold it together anymore. The US has lasted as long as it did because until quite recently, the European mutts were mostly able to fuse themselves together in the New World and were unambiguously in charge. As white mutts lose their cultural dominance, This country will pull itself to pieces. Count on it. Edit. I know. I'm worse than Hitler. Hey. I hope I'm wrong. I'd be thrilled to be wrong. I'm getting old and I have kids. I want to be happy and safe. I just don't think I'm wrong. Time will show. The Gamma Cube controller is the best controller for Smash. Wrong. The DK bongos are way better. Nuclear is the safest and cleanest way of generating electricity. Sorry. It just is. Religion was created by man to help him deal with struggles, sadness and natural disasters that weren't understood at the time. 99% of the people that are overweight just eat too much and don't exercise enough. Within 10 years, a high school diploma will not get you anywhere near a decent job. Hell, a bachelor's might not. It's hard to get a decent job with a high school diploma now. The United States will someday collapse and break up. Come on people, Rome fell and you think the United States as we know it will outlast the earth. That Michael Brown didn't deserve to die. And that many people have done worse and lived. People who play chicken with freight trains don't deserve to die. Either. But it's their own fault if they do. Sure, he didn't deserve it. Religion. All religion. Is complete and total nonsense. Anyone who makes blanket statements like that is complete nonsense. That low prices cost a lot. I'm talking about slave labor, inhuman working conditions, and destruction of nature. Affirmative action is a very real form of racism. No one is running around with a predestined set of events that dictate their entire life. Things don't just happen for a reason. No one is going to save you. You have to do it yourself. Edit. I actually know what cause and effect is. Thanks everyone. There is not someone for everyone. Edit. FCK, I didn't know this would be so popular. If I messed up your reply, bear with me, I don't normally do this. Thanks to everyone in this thread, I really enjoyed the discussion. Edit 2. Well, since you guys are still replying, I'm gonna post my thoughts TL. DR en masse. Since it's easier that way. Yes. A warm body is something a lot of us can achieve. But I apologize that I am not compatible with hookups or relationships just to see. Edit 3. I get it. Yes. I can just settle for less, I know that is an option. But I do not think I'm gonna find the girl tailor-made for me, and a lot of people won't either. Edit 4. Although you're right, settle can be negative, although I didn't mean for it to be. I could very well just be a little off, but relationships and I just don't work. Never have. And to clarify, no one is to settle for less, they are with the person that makes them happy. Maybe it's themselves. There are some things you can't do, even if you put your mind to it. Learning how to deal with failure and being uncomfortable is part of life. Someone said something that offends you? F-king, grow some balls and learn that sometimes people have different opinions than you. You're an introvert, shy, and you're put in a situation where you have to talk to people you don't know. Stop sobbing in the corner about how uncomfortable you are. Grab those testes and learn how to deal with it like a F-king adult. It's not that hard. You're female and someone you don't know says hello to you. You are male and someone points out that maybe, just maybe, video games are just a little bit sexist. Think of how a small, immature child would react to such disparate situations, and don't do that. Oh. You're going to lean on your self-diagnosed quote-unquote mental illness as to why you shouldn't do any of these things? FCKU. Stand up straight. Look people in the eye. And grow the F-king FCK up. We are F-king the earth, the oceans and the air so hard that starvation on a massive scale is almost guaranteed. Tunnel snakes rule. There is no such thing as being big boned. Wrong. There actually is a large variance in people's bone sizes as well as tools to measure them. It doesn't, however, give you an excuse to be fat. Just because you can afford it doesn't F-king mean you should buy it. That there is no such thing as an immortal soul, and when we die we cease to exist. We don't move on to some theme park. One nice and the other not. You will not catch a f***ing cold if you don't wear a jacket outside. Mom. A cold is a bacteria cell. A hazmat suit will protect you from it, but not a goddamn jacket. Evolution. At least in the US. I'm the minority. Science denial is a huge problem. There is no God. As far as I'm concerned. I like to live by this motto. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Edited a word choice. Nobody wants to see 1,000 pictures of your kids. Stop plastering them all over Facebook. I'm not sure what you think the point of Facebook is. But plastering pictures of people is it exactly. If you dislike what a certain person posts, you can hide his or her posts from your wall. It's spelled woe, not woe. Ice is cold. Hard water. Some overly idealistic people seem to think it's possible that everyone has the chance and should find a career they truly love. The truth is we need people to do things that 999% of humanity doesn't enjoy. Such as working in retail, etc. Even accounting. I mean, nobody really likes doing that shit, even though they do get paid well, but still need those. If you have cancer or any other similar disease, it doesn't mean you are a perfect angel. You can still be a douchebag regardless of disability. Same goes out to war veterans. Just because you have a shiny medal, it's not a f***ing excuse to be a contorted dickhole from hell. There is no such thing as karma or justice. There is only nature. And nature does not care. But invisible internet points. People are more similar than anyone wants to admit. The number one thing stopping people from doing what they want is almost always themselves. Edit. Note. I'm not saying things are easy or that you will succeed the first time you try. I guess I should also expect this to not be received super well, seeing as it's a thread on what truths the average people won't accept. Atheists fellating the hell out of each other. Congratulations. Our atheism. On your triumphant return to reminding everyone, including many atheists, why we think you're assholes in a default sub. I have so many examples. Since I was young I tend to rationalize too much and not give much importance to emotions. Many people see my ideas as controversial. But hey, let's go. 1. We are not all the same. Racial differences do exist. For instance, black people don't just have more melanin, as many say. 2. God isn't real. People still hold on to their beliefs because it is comfortable. It gives them hope. They don't do that consciously though. Deep inside they refuse to accept concrete evidences against the idea of a god because the idea of such a powerful being with infinite love is nice. If some sort of Jesus came here on earth saying that God is evil and only created us to watch us suffer and laugh at us, very few people would believe that. 3. Life is pretty much pointless. And no, the universe probably doesn't have a purpose. Also, it doesn't care about you. To mention a few. First one. Fact. Second one. Belief. Third one. Pro tip for this thread. Sort by controversial. In 10 years many jobs will be gone to robots and AIs and we can't replace them. Prepare for 40% unemployment. That's been said for decades. That Darren Wilson was justified in using lethal force against Michael Brown. Racism is much more pervasive than we would like to believe. Fat people are unattractive and not perfect just how they are. If you are fat, you are eating too much. The law against murder is the number one thing preventing murder. I know it's comedy, but this just isn't the truth. Quite a lot of murder goes unsolved even in first world countries, leading me to believe that if I really wanted someone dead, I could find a way to do it. The thing is, though, I just don't want to go around killing people. And I suspect most others are like me. The level of civilization your culture possesses is always and everywhere more important than what the laws say. Dash. Edit for those who refuse to understand what I think is fairly plain. By saying that I don't think that the law is the #1 deterrent. I am not saying any of the following. 1. There should be no laws. 2. The murder rate wouldn't go up without laws. 3. Some people wouldn't murder if they were allowed. Literally none of these things were expressed or implied by what I wrote. If you still don't get it, read it again. People have equal rights but not abilities. Everyone pees in the shower. To be fair, this is more of a warm hard truth. The rich elite run the USA. Don't call it democracy. Call it an oligarchy. That no matter how many times we wish we could be superhuman, it won't happen. And that feeling we get from imagining it. Guys, should we tell him he's the only one without a superpower? That someone can't snap out of depression just by changing their mindset. Or thinking positively. It's a disease. Just like physical ailments. Why don't you just cure your cancer by thinking positively? People don't really seem to grasp the idea that if it was that easy, depressed people would do it immediately. With no hesitation. Edit for clarification. When I say depression, I mean diagnosed clinical depression. There's a spooky skeleton inside all of us. The checks and balances in US government isn't checking or balancing anything anymore. If they could have, the rich would have you enslaved. If they could pay you less, they would. If you are replaceable by machines, you will be. Communism has never, and will never, work. Anyone with a third-grade understanding of how the world works can see its blatant flaws. How on earth people still advocate it is beyond me. Half of you are below average. America is not a democracy. I have my say. Say I. With pride. I say. My say. And feel inside a shiny sense of warmth and worth, for I've my part and place on earth. My say. I say. Is worth the same as any folk of funds or fame. For I've. Say I. With cherished glee. A voice in my democracy. And so it is I sleep at night. And know that all is well and right, while golden men on business boards all have their say. And mine. And yours. There will never be a Half-Life 3. I stay awake at night praying to Gavin. Begging for Half-Life 3. But now I've come to realize that as generous and holy as Gabe Newell is, there will never be a Half-Life 3.